Hey there guys, welcome back to Texas Beer Reviews, and on this episode we will be looking at Lakewood's The Temptress. So this is a bit of a milestone because this will be the 15th video, would have been the 16th but I lost a beer. But this will be the 15th video and the first bottle review that I've done. Everything else has been in cans. So anyway, The Temptress is an Imperial Milk Stout. It's an ale brew with lactose sugar, which makes it milk stout part, and they use vanilla in it as well. So it says on the, it's got a lot of information on the label here. It's best enjoyed in a snifter at 50 to 55 degrees. This is pulled out of my fridge at probably around 45 or so. So let it warm up a little bit here in the glass. But it is 9.1% alcohol by volume. The original gravity is listed at 1.091. So usually for, I want to say this, the higher the starting gravity, the sweeter the beer usually ends up being. When you have a beer that's really dry, usually finishes something like some of the Jester King saisons, or like style, lambic, that's goose style of beer that's very dry like that. It'll finish usually at 1.000, or close to it. But they don't start very high as well. If the beer has a higher original gravity, usually it won't finish closer to that if it's if it's a sweeter beer like that, with more malt added to it. But anyway, I guess they just like to list that. And then it's got 56 IBUs and the 33 SRM, so it should be pretty dark. Being a milk stout, that's what I would figure. But a little about, about the beer. The description says, Va-va-voom, our Temptress is seduction in a glass. Curvy in all the right places, this Imperial Milk Stout pours with a thick milk chocolate head, sweet caramel notes, and a warm complexity that grows deeper with every sip. Take your time with her and she'll reward you. It says, Skol. It says pairs well with robust blue cheese, dark chocolate, and sin. Won't be pairing anything with tonight. I just ate a bowl of beans. But anyway, that's pretty much mostly about the Temptress. By the way, I guess a little bit about Lakewood. They're out of Garland, Texas. And Lakewood's another one of those beers that Specs here can bring into Houston, but nobody else has it. They just distribute, as far as I know, just in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I don't know if it's Fort Worth as well, but up in that area, northern Texas, and Specs here in Houston can bring them in and sell them at the flagship store. I don't know if they're at any other smaller Specs, but at the flagship store in Houston, downtown, they can buy these. Anyway, let's crack it open and get into it. I actually don't have a bottle opener, so one sec. Alright, so used to cans. Grab my opener. I have never had the Temptress. There are some variants as well. Barrel aged Temptress. There's one. There's Cinnamint. There's a Mole. Never had any of them, I don't think, from what I recall. So good to finally get into the beer. But pour. Alright, so pouring out of the glass, it's a kind of a caramel, slightly kind of translucent color to it. Go ahead and pour all this in since it's a big glass. But it's pretty dark. It's got a nice tan, slight mocha head there. I'm sure when the head recedes a bit, you'll be able to see kind of a rubier, dark brown hue through there at the tips. I don't really see it at the bottom either, but most of the beers, of course, going to be pretty dark looking in the glass. But put this up here. See it? And let's check out the aroma. We'll definitely want to let this warm up a little bit, or I guess I'm going to go along with that as it warms. But I'm getting a lot of dark fruit type character, kind of those dark dried fruits, raisins, prunes, things like that. I'm almost getting a slight bourbon character to it as well. I know this is barrel aged, but there's just a hint of a kind of a bourbon character to it. Probably the vanilla coming out that kind of reminds me of that. There is the vanilla in there. That's kind of a big. It's what I'm getting a lot now that I think about it. There's definitely a lot of vanilla. And some dark chocolates. Not like Hershey's dark, but maybe more of a kind of a darker chocolate in there. You know, something around, I guess, 70% cacao or so. But those are the main aromas that I'm getting out of it. A lot of vanilla, some of the dark fruits, dark kind of robust chocolate. It smells pretty smooth, and that vanilla kind of gives way to a sort of a bourbon-like nose to it. But anyway, check out the taste. Cheers. Wow, that's really good. All right, so vanilla, definitely a ton of vanilla, but it's not overpowering vanilla. It really kind of blends in with those dark fruits, dark chocolate. I'm getting a lingering bitterness on there. It's reminiscent to like a dark chocolate. Let's see. Getting a bit of a tobacco-like quality to it as well. Vanilla hits up front, and it kind of goes into dark fruits, dark chocolate, and it kind of fades in vanilla as well with that tobacco. Pretty complex. Really enjoying this a lot right now, actually. For the mouthfeel, it does have a bit of prickly carb up front, but fades pretty fast. The body is, I'd say, kind of let's say maybe a lighter medium. Oh no. Stop again. And lose this one too. Go back and rewatch it, but then we'll be doing this again. So, but I'd say the mouthfeel is mostly medium. There's a bit of thinness to it in some aspects, with a decent amount of lingering bitterness. It's not too intense, but definitely balances out the sweetness of the beer. With that said, before this gets too long, I really enjoy this beer a lot, actually. The vanilla is a very nice touch to it, and I really enjoy vanilla in stouts, and I do like that a lot in this beer. So I'd say if you want a kind of a complex stout with those vanilla flavors, you know, that's kind of subtle bourbon-like quality to it without being barrel-aged, I would definitely check this one out. Definitely, I think one of the better stouts here too locally that I could grab off the shelf. You know, that's brewed here. You know, there's some pretty solid ones, but I like this one a lot. Probably would prefer this over quite a few of them. And well, I miss the alcohol. Not really any alcohol to detect to on the mouthfeel. Anyway, yeah, I would recommend this one a lot. I really think this is a great beer, and going to be very interested in picking up some of the variants whenever I see those, if I can find any of the specs here. But with that all said, think global, drink local, and cheers.